Welcome, everyone, to Bodyslam.net. It is August 24th, 2025, and we're here talking all things AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door at the O2 Arena in London, England, the 4th edition of Forbidden Door. I'm Max Sittenberg. This is Blackhawk. We're back talking Blackhawk, all things AEW. One of their quicker pay-per-views, not including the pre-show, just over 4 hours, which is, I think, very nice. I think All In was a great show, but we were talking about All In for a long time, Blackhawk, a couple months ago.
Yeah, we were. I think All In is one of those shows that deserves to be long. Like it's, their WrestleMania, but Forbidden Door, 4 hours, great time. Great time.
Yeah, very good time. We're going to go through each match, give our thoughts. So if you're new to Bodyslam, guys, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are posting videos basically every single day, including live streams every single day, including these post shows for every single major pay-per-view. So please subscribe and ring the bell. Like the video as well, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching us on Twitter, also retweet, repost, share it with your friends. If you watched AEW All In, this is a great place for you. And also, please comment, guys. If you're watching on any of our Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or X platforms, join us in the chat to hear your thoughts as well on AEW All In. So, Blackhawk, before we get into each match, what did you think of the overall show here tonight?
Overall, I thought it was a great show. I thought the opening match was a little disappointing, but everything else delivered fantastically. Everything else was great. The pacing of everything was great. It didn't feel like there was a lull or a down moment as soon as we really got into it. And each match, got better and better and better until the grand finale of the lights out steel cage match. So
yeah, this is going to be a interesting pay-per-view to talk about because it feels like it's a big pivot point or breaking point for the company, as so many top players are going to be missing action for months. Most of them probably going to be out for the rest of the year. So it's going to be really, Tony Khan's talked about how he's had issues booking while in the midst of the Jaguar season. Obviously, football starting soon, and they're going to need all hands on deck, honestly, to get through these next 6 to 8 months here. We'll talk about that depending on the match and who's injured and who's not. So let's get started with we had a 4-match pre-show. We started at 11:30 here on the East Coast. We had Crew and Hechicero as well as Josh Alexander. They lost to Paragon, El Desperado, and Yuya Uemura getting the pin. I thought it was nice. This didn't feel as Forbidden Door-like as maybe some of the other ones. Blackhawk and I both talked about for weeks now about the G1, how it's going to be tough to pull off this show when the G1 is still going on and all the top New Japan guys are in the midst of tournament. Like they even said on Collision last night, Takeshita wrestled 22 matches in a span of like 3 weeks. So it's going to be tough to build some real storylines. I think all set, though, I think they did the best they could from mixing in the New Japan guys. As I said, Yuya got the pin here. He is clearly set up to be one of the next guys for New Japan. Him and Tsuji have kind of been put in that position. I enjoy Yuya. I just haven't been totally wowed by him in New Japan yet. I was happy to see El Desperado on the show as well, because again, the juniors have not been working as well lately. So, what do you think? I know you didn't totally, get through the match, but what did you think of Yuya, him getting the win, and what do you think of him in the future for New Japan?
I think he's going to be great for New Japan, especially if he sticks under, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Because I feel like they view him as the next Hiroshi Tanahashi. Yeah. And so if he can kind of, stay under Hiroshi and follow him step by step, I think he will be remembered as one of the greats, just like Tanahashi. And so it's good to see him on, an AEW pay-per-view. Tanahashi wrestled in a ton of different places outside of New Japan. Yeah. And so I think getting him outside of New Japan will be one of those big things that they've got to do to get him to that next level, get him some experience with some people outside of who he's been wrestling for the last couple of years. And so I think, great pick for a win, and I think he's a great pick for the future.
Yeah, it was interesting that, again, Tsuji's not on the show. He was supposed to face Swerve last year, but Ospreay volunteered to do that match with Swerve last year's Forbidden Door. Tsuji was put in a pre-show trios match. So I do think without the G1, they would have had a lot more top New Japan guys.
Yes.
Yeah, New Japan, if you're not familiar, they are now basically off for a month post the G1. So it's a lot of wrestling for a lot of the guys on these shows. Also, I love Leo in action. I think the crew should be on TV more. It feels like they're never on TV, and then they just pop on a pre-show on one of these pay-per-views. But
Yeah.
they have a fun time. Hechicero is headed to Philly this week. He'll be facing Bandito for the Ring of Honor title at Death.
It should be great.
So we'll talk about Bandito a little bit later here, but Bandito and Hechicero. Hechicero, even though Don Callis got booed, that guy is, for a heel, he is really, really over at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
it's because he's incredibly fun to watch. Like it, yeah, he could be the best baby face or the worst heel. He's going to be incredibly fun to watch regardless.
Yeah, he wrestles very unique luchador style. So I'm very excited for him and Bandito on Friday. The next match, we had Gates of Agony and Ricochet picking up a win over Michael Oku and Jet Speed. There was a really scary spot early in the match where Michael Oku was going to attempt his dive. He did the dive, but it was really helped by a pounce from Toa Leon, and it looked like he fell right on his head.
Yeah, that was rough.
Reports were backstage that he was fine. Speedball had a very funny post as well backstage.
Yeah.
But Ricochet gets the win here. This is not the last time we see Gates of Agony and Ricochet on this show. I do think at some point, though, they need to be putting a top-tier program, which I think is going to be the next big thing.
Yes.
Possibly for Hangman is to go into a Ricochet feud, possibly. And Gates of Agony can do her syndicate tag team title stuff. But I'm all for Ricochet getting a win on pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we talked about it last time a lot that Ricochet has been doing his best work since joining AEW.
Yeah.
And the addition of Gates of Agony has furthered that great work. And him being the leader of that stable has been honestly really fun to watch. Been working with MJF last couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it'll be soon, but I think relatively soon we will be seeing Ricochet take on Hangman if he still holds the belt at that point. I think there's a little more to explore with him and MJF, especially while he still has that contract. But I think probably before the end of the year we'll see something spark up for a program for that.
Yeah, because it feels like we've been there, done that with Ricochet and Mark Briscoe. So I think it's time. They did tease him and Hangman. They did have that very funny moment where Hangman grabbed Ricochet by the neck and he was crying in fear, which was very funny.
Yep, I have that picture saved on my phone. That could be a great meme.
Guy's one of the most entertaining sellers in pro wrestling. So, I'm all for him being in the world title picture. I think him and Gates of Agony work really well together. Happy to get the win. Then we had a women's 8-person tag. Feels like we get the same match on Collision every week, but we had Triangle of Madness with Megan Bain. They got the win over Harley Cameron, Krista Statlander, Queen Aminata, and Willow. They are very much heavily protecting Megan Bain. If you watch Collision or Dynamite, she is always getting wins, if it's jobber matches or just in regular matches since her loss to Toni Storm at Dynasty. So she got the pin over Harley Cameron here. We'll get into the big thing that happened in the middle of the actual show in a second.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Megan Bain getting another win here at Forbidden Door?
I think it's great. I think Megan Bain is a future face of the women's division, if she's not already a face of the women's division. She just signed recently, this year. And so I think she has, everything they're looking for in a world champion at some point. It's just about getting that story together to get her up there.
Yeah.
Because right now she's just kind of toying around in the mid card, while things in the upper card kind of fix themselves. But I think once it's time for her to step up, she's going to step up in a big way, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I also like her change. She got rid of the F5 months ago, and I think the running Liger Bomb is a really good finish for her. Always great to see as well. Harley Cameron back. She broke her nose in a match with Megan Bayne back in May. So that's good to see. And they're still teasing Statlander and Willow, and especially Statlander joining the Death Riders, which was once again heavily teased on Collision last night. Do you think are they gonna really drag this out longer, you think, of Statlander and the Death Riders? Like, when do you think they're gonna pull the trigger on that?
I think they'll drag it out for a little bit longer. I feel like at some point soon we're gonna have Willow and Statlander have another program where they kind of come face to face, and they either become friends and she turns down the Death Riders, or they leave as enemies and she joins the Death Riders. I think a lot of this, funny enough, will hinge on Willow and how her relationship with Willow develops. But I am excited for it. I think it could be really good for her career either way. I think she's in a really good spot. Either joining the Death Riders, because Mox has done great things for Mina in her career already. And so I think it could be a really, really, really good thing for her to go join the Death Riders. But at the same time, a lot of people love Willow and love them together. And so that could also be a really good thing for her career. So she's in like the perfect catch-22. Like, either way she goes, she's going to have a really good move. So I could go either way. I would prefer her go with Willow, but I think either way is going to be really good.
Yeah, I like the idea of Stat being in Death Riders. I also like the idea that Yuta is like not doing a great job of recruiting and Moxley. Like, Moxley's like, don't talk to her. I'll handle all the business with that, which I think is fun. But again, I think Stat is one of the best on the roster, so I'm happy that she's looking like to be in a very They're setting up maybe she turns on Harley to get to that point. But we'll see. Let's continue on the main show. We had Amanada and Tekla still fighting backstage. It was really funny with Bryan Danielson, who's on commentary. He's like, "How they must be so out of breath. They wrestled like over an hour ago, and they're still fighting." I think they came out, which I thought he was really good all night.
He was great.
But this has been like one of the most underrated feuds in wrestling. Like Amanada and Tekla, like to a point where so many reporters had to ask people, do they really hate each other? Because they just really don't miss their punches in their matches. But this set up the return of Jamie Hayter, which was originally supposed to be Tekla's first feud in her AEW tenure, because when she came out, she attacked Hayter. Hayter got her. Then she went off with the Amanada stuff. They're going back to Jamie Hayter and Tekla. What did you think about Jamie Hayter getting another hometown pop return in London?
I think it's great. I think it's good that Jamie Hayter's back. We talked at All In about Toni Storm maybe needing to drop the belt and just go take a rest, and they even talked about that during her match on the commentary, and we can talk about that later. But having her back full time is great. I think the women's division is in a really, really good spot where they can move almost anybody out of the mid card and even just have a championship match, and it'd be good. And I think the Tekla and Queen Amanada feud has been fantastic. Even though there's nothing on the line, they're just fighting for the sake of fighting and hating for the sake of hating, and I think that's great. I think we need more of that. And so it's really, really fun to see them fight, and then have that awesome moment where Jamie Hayter's back, and it feels like the upper card of the women's division has refreshed already. Even before they had their big match for the night. And so it's really good. They're keeping things fresh even through injuries, and they have the ability, if somebody else goes down, to be able to move a couple pieces, and they'll be in a really good spot any way they go.
And they're still not using a lot of women either. Britt Baker's on the sidelines. Thunder Rose is on the sidelines. They haven't used Deanna in a really long time. So they have – but you're right. I think this year in particular, we've done a really good job of just building under the card feuds. They're still in that trap of just getting one women's Dynamite match. I think Collision is a really good women's wrestling show for AEW.
Yes.
But usually like 2 or 3 women's matches on Collision. I just think there should be more of that on Dynamite. I guess the way more watched show. But I'm with you. I think Hayter and Tekla deserve, and I think even throwing Amanada, make like a 3-person mini feud, non-title, would be a lot of fun. Maybe the winner gets a shot at Mercedes or Tony. I think that's a lot of fun. Always happy to have Jamie Hayter back. She's been through so much.
Right.
She missed over a year, and now she missed another couple months. And it's like her second hometown return in like a year in London. Last year at Wembley, and now returned at the O2.
Well, you can't beat it.
Yeah, she's great. The last match on the pre-show was the Ops retaining the trios title against Bullet Club War Dogs. Good to get them on the show. They all basically passed out or tapped out was the finish of the match. But the Ops, they've had a very weird title run where everyone's like, well, the Deathfires have really held the titles captive. And then when the Ops won, okay, finally we're going to see some real storylines. We really haven't seen much. Now, Joe did have to go off and promote Twisted Metal for a couple weeks.
Yes.
But even when Joe's been there, they really haven't built. The Trios division has been very underserved in 2025. So I thought the match was solid. They got like the least amount of time, I think, out of all the pre-show matches.
Yeah.
But Robbie X, very underrated guy. He got to really pop off in this match. Drilla clearly didn't work as much. He was in the G1. And obviously there's history with Clark and Shibata helped train Gabe Kidd and Clark and a lot of the foreign New Japan guys.
Yeah.
But what did you think of this match?
I thought it was great. But I do agree with your point. When they got him off the Death Riders, the trios titles, it seems like the only trios team that they have to fight now is the Death Riders. And so they have this awesome belt that has a lot of potential with no teams to fight for it, which is disappointing. But this match was great. It was cool to see the non-Gabe Kid and faces of the War Dogs.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you don't, even watching New Japan, you don't see them like super often.
Yeah.
They're not really focused on. And so it was cool to see them get a moment and ball out in that moment. And I haven't been watching New Japan, up until the G1 frequently. So maybe they wrestle frequently. I just don't know. But it did feel like a good moment for all of them to showcase their talents. And against, Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Samoa Joe and Shibata are some of the greatest to ever do it. And Powerhouse Hobbs is amazing in his own right.
Yeah.
So great match. Great finish to the pre-show, I would say. Great finale for the pre-show.
Yeah, it was good. Gato was also there, who's been getting tons of flack because people finally realized.
A lot of hate.
Yeah, people who realize he's finally one of the bookers of the show for New Japan. So he was there as always with the Bullet Club guys. But yeah, I agree. I think Clark and Drilla never team together anymore because Drilla's now gone on to heavyweight. And it was really good. I do want to say too, before we go on to the main show, they did a really good job, I think, educating people who don't watch New Japan, especially during the Fletcher match, because trying to explain why Hiromu is normally not in these positions because he's a junior heavyweight and the division classes and all of that. I thought they did a really good job. Walker Stewart called 2 matches as well. He's the lead play-by-play guy for New Japan. So I thought for people who are not familiar with the New Japan guys, I thought the announce team did a really good job putting everyone over and explaining things to people as well.
I agree. As much as I wanted to see more New Japan talent on the card,
which I do,
and I understand like the kind of like, hey, they just all, the whole heavyweight division just wrestled 22 matches in like the last 4 or 5 weeks. They need a rest. They did do a fantastic job of selling New Japan as something you should be watching and, giving you the information ahead of time if you want to check them out when they kick things back off. So
It was interesting that the guy who won the G1, who's an AEW talent, was not on this show wrestling.
Yes. Yeah.
Very weird. Takeshita wrestled last, taped on Wednesday, but he wrestled on Collision against Ishii. But this guy just won the G1. I was really shocked. Even if on the pre-show, they couldn't get him in one of those tag situations. You think AEW would be bragging heavily that their guy winning. I know Takeshita is signed with DDT and New Japan as well, but he's really seen as an AEW guy. He showed up later in the night. We'll talk about the future of the Don Callis family, I think, later in the show. But we are about to get into, guys, the main card. So again, if you're watching, like the video and also comment, guys. We're talking to you guys. We love the fun conversation. We love talking wrestling with each other, but it's great to talk with you guys
very much so
as well. So let's get into this main card, which started off with Cope and Christian getting a win over Kill Switch and Kip Sabian. This was supposed to be Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, but I think they said on Nick Wayne in the promo said he broke his foot, but they said on commentary it was fractured. So we'll see.
You always got to sell it as
another
broken,
Ring of Honor champion who seems to have to give up this title. So that's that. Luchasaurus, though, was, I think, the perfect replacement story-wise.
Yes.
So out of all the plan Bs that they went with, they're still in the match. They were teasing Luchasaurus still being bullied by the patriarchy. Kip was yelling at him the whole time. And this led to them kind of losing. Cope took a lot of the match himself, and then Christian came in later. The finish was cool. It was like a 3D, but it was a spear instead of the you call it the DDT. So that I thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought it was for a crowd perspective, it was a hot entrance. It was two of the most popular, most famous people on the card. I totally get why they started the match.
Yeah.
But I think without Nick Wayne, it was going to be tough to get this, in my opinion, to like one of the best matches on the show type situation. But I think it was still smart, Blackhawk, for AEW to give Cope and Christian a match before they do this FTR feud, so they back familiar with themselves. But what did you think of this? I know you talked about this being a disappointing opener for you, but what did you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Some part of me, still thinks of Edge and Christian as, 28, 29, 30 years old, long hair, just having a lot of fun. And then you see him now and you're like, yeah, these guys are like 40 and 50 and, they don't move as well as they used to. And it's great to see them back together. But, it was it's one of those times where it's like a bittersweet. Like it's great to see him, but also they don't move as well as they used to together. Right. And I think just the match itself, I wasn't super excited for going in. I was excited Luchasaurus was back, or the Kill Shot now.
Kill Switch.
Kill Switch. I was excited he's back, and I'm looking forward to the future of the patriarchy dynamic. Yeah. Because I don't think he stays with them long. And it's, rumored Jack Perry's coming back.
That's right.
So we could be seeing, big blow up there.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to Edge and Christian FTR. I think that'll be really good. But as, a opener to the show, not great. Probably could have snuck down onto the pre-show and been perfectly fine.
Sure.
If I looked this in hindsight, I would have moved the trios tag title match to the opener and moved them down to the pre-show. But I also understand why it's on the main show. Yeah, exactly. I get it. Yeah,
I thought the match was fine. I thought, Cope, he had to be the ring general for his tag because he was in the match, felt like the entire time. You can tell he looked a little winded after the match. But I'm still not worried about Cope and Christian versus FTR not being a really good match. So,
yeah, exactly.
Again, Nick Wayne being this match probably would have helped, but again, I think Luchasaurus makes all sense. It is going to be interesting what they do with the Jack Perry thing, because he could be like the leader of this version of the patriarchy, all of Christian's former kids, as they say, with Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus and Kip, or do they just go back to Jack? It would be interesting to do Jack and Luchasaurus, but this time as heels and not baby faces together.
Yeah.
Whatever direction they go to, I think is going to be interesting. I was shocked they didn't have that on this show if they were going to have Jack come back, But again, you don't do all your big returns on pay-per-view. You want people to watch Dynamite and Collision. So we'll see if Jack any of these Philly shows over the next 3 weeks. The next match was Kyle Fletcher retaining the TNT title against Hiromu Takahashi. This match, I was honestly, because I watched New Japan consistently, Hiromu has not had like the greatest year or anything. He was stuck with Naito in the tag division towards the beginning of the year, and then wasn't a major factor in Best of the Super Juniors. So it's been a weird year for him, but this was, I thought, easily his best in-ring match. I think it shocked a lot of people on Twitter who don't watch New Japan that this he hasn't looked like this all year long. Again, Fletcher, with all these injuries, it feels like he's kind of the next guy for them.
Yeah, 100%
forward. This TNT title reign has been very good. A couple weeks in, easily the best probably reign of the year for the TNT title. But I thought this match was really good. There was a nice DDT from Hiromu to the outside. The finish was really clever where Hiromu might roll him up. Then he goes back into the brainbuster for the finish. What did you think of Fletcher and Hiromu in this title match?
I didn't think Hiromu was going to walk out with the TNT championship, but there were a couple moments where I was like, they might do it.
Yeah.
They might do it. And so I thought that's what you want out of a match, like a Forbidden Door match where, you don't expect going in a title change. Especially for somebody who's not there frequently and was kind of a surprise to be there originally. But there were a couple moments where I was like, hey, they may let him walk with it. And you might be on Dynamite losing it just like they did to Dustin Rhodes. But I thought this was a fantastic match. I haven't really watched any of his stuff since Naito has left. And so it was good to see him do this. I did watch his match in Noah a couple weeks ago, which was really good. So if you haven't seen that, I would suggest
he flew in that for the G1 Climax final for a tag match after being in the United States. That was so why? So random. I was like, why?
I think the scheduling of this show and the G1, I feel like ruined a lot of stuff, messed up a lot of things. So maybe I think next year, Tony and Tanahashi are gonna have to sit down and sit down with a calendar and be like, this is when we're doing this. This is when we can do this. Because you think it's great when they're like back to back to back, but then you like on paper it seems like a really good idea, and then you start thinking about the health of everybody, and you're like, maybe we space it out just a little bit.
I think the last 2 years did a much this is the first Forbidden Door, I think, where it didn't feel as New Japan heavy. But I think it would help if New Japan came in on a much hotter note. They're not, they're far from where they were 6-7 years ago at this point. And even the beginning of Forbidden Door, they were still a pretty hot company. Jay White was a part of New Japan at the beginning of Forbidden Door. So there was a lot of, and Ospreay was a New Japan guy when they started this pay-per-view. So they are where they're at. But I thought Hiromu did very well in this match. They did a very New Japan thing where Fletcher hit the tombstone and Hiromu kicks out at 1. I was like, this is such a New Japan match. But he kicks out at 1. I was like, the crowd was here for it, but I was like, this is such a New Japan thing to do in the match. But Fletcher, it's going to be interesting what they do with him now as TNT champion. But he seems to be defending this title every single week for the most part. So it's going to be, again, with all the injuries, it really is. You really have no idea where they're going next from a booking perspective.
Swerve and Ospreay both fought the EVPs so they could, they put on the line challenging for a year, and then they end up having to sit for probably a year each anyways.
And Kenny's going to be out as well.
Kenny's going to be out.
It's a mess for them. That's why you have to develop other guys. And this is a big make or break a moment for a lot of the talent. So again, it's going to be a theme, I think, throughout the show, talking about people who need to step up. Let's talk about this fatal 4-way match for the TBS title. We had Mercedes winning the match, defeating Alex Windsor, who's representing AEW. You had Persephone was representing CMLL, and you had Bozilla, who's representing Stardom. I was on her a couple months ago when someone told me about her match against Megan Bain in GCW. I was like, wow, that was a special time. Then you find out she's 21 years old. You're like, whoa. This is someone who I feel like needs to be signed by like a top promotion at this point.
Yes.
And she was clearly, for me, the easy standout in this match. If it was picking up two people at
100%.
The moonsault that she hit was really clean. They said she weighs like 200 pounds, 6'1", whatever. I was like, this is
huge.
You know, women's wrestling, she feels like a complete, again, standout.
Yeah, like a monster.
Different in-ring talent. I thought going in, Windsor was actually to get the win here. They've been booking her really strong on Dynamite and Collision, putting her basically in the Toni Storm feud the entire time, putting her in that top of the card, and especially with the hometown element of it. I thought they would do, it's a four-way. Mercedes won't get pinned. They'll do a rematch, maybe an all out. Were you surprised they went Mercedes retention or and didn't go with Windsor, or you thought Mercedes going in was going to win?
I thought Mercedes going in was going to win, but if not, my pick was Bozilla. I've been watching her since the beginning of Marigold. You know, she was part of that original crew, and she killed it every episode of Marigold. And so it's fun to see her now because she's kind of, you know, she went to Stardom and kind of fine-tuned a lot of things. Has gotten much better. But yeah, it just didn't make sense for me for Mercedes to lose at this point in a fatal four-way. It'd just be a cheap out at this point.
Yeah.
I think if she's held it this long and, you know, she's running this belt collector gimmick and won another championship the night before, I think she's going to have to lose it in
clean.
Like a big, clean in a big moment to somebody that they build for a while. Like this could be, I think Megan Bain could be next up for this instead of Toni Storm.
Sure.
And I think if that's the case, they move Mercedes up to Toni Storm.
Okay. They could do that.
I think that's the next move, but they haven't put really any pieces in place to start that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Alex Windsor looked awesome. Persephone looked awesome. Is that her first AEW match? Because I don't think
Persephone? No, yeah, she's wrestled a lot for them.
Okay.
She's wrestled 3 or 4 times in Ring of Honor, and I think she's popped up a
Gotcha.
couple times, I think, on AEW TV, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of her, but she did.
But
really
she was good
great.
in the match.
Yeah. And so it's another one of those things with the partnership with CMLL and the partnership with Stardom. I think the women's division is in such a more healthy place than the men's division that anything could happen. And I don't understand why they don't have more championship belts and more championship opportunities with the women's division. Yeah, tag team is like, that's just like basic.
Look at the pre-show. Those could be like tag teams themselves.
Yeah.
Match.
And like AEW's done so well with just thrown together tag teams. Like look at Brodito.
I agree.
The Jet Speed was just kind of a thrown together group. Brodito, you know, and so they've had really good luck. I don't see why they wouldn't just throw a couple of people together and make a division.
I agree.
But yeah, I think they have the strongest partnerships in the women's division, and I also wouldn't be opposed to, you know, I think we talked about this last time, but AEW just running a women's only show, especially with the, you know, CMLL and Stardom, Ring of Honor, like all of them.
Yeah,
you know, they all have incredible talent. I don't see why they don't. And like in Japan, that's like the norm. And it works really, really well over there because the women are able to showcase everything without, you know, worrying about the men, you know, going out and doing something insane and almost killing themselves to outshine them. So it's like, I think WWE would also benefit from that. TNA might benefit, like their partnership with TNA, NXT, and WWE. If they just split and did men's and women's, I think that would be fantastic for them as well.
Yeah, because it's been It's so funny. I think it's been such a weirder partnership for some reason. Like, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling with the partnership with TNA and WWE I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, it's gone very well so far. The MJF thing has gone over really well for CMLL. And again, we've seen Hetrocero a lot. We've seen, as you said, Persephone's been on TV. They've done a good job with the and if you watch Ring of Honor, they do tons of just six-way lucha matches with CMLL guys, like Volador Jr. and Mascara Dorada. I think a lot of these guys are eventually going to be signed by AEW at some point. But I'm with you. I think women's tag titles should be a thing. They have too many tag teams at this point to not have the tag titles. Especially like Collision is a good show for that because they do put so much effort on the women's side on Collision.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, if you look at a tag opening pre-show match, you had like Penelope and Megan, and you had the triangle. You had Julia and Sky. You had Harley usually teams with whoever. It could be her and Mercedes or her and Stat. You have Ty J. You can even do Tony and Alex, who've been a really good tag team together. Yeah. There's so many.
There's just limitless opportunities here, and
I think they should.
They're just not biting the bullet
because they wanted to do the Ring of Honor pure women's, but they have completely gone off that. They've done Ring of Honor women's pure matches, but they said, like 6 or 7 months ago, Tony announced like we're having a tournament and then a title match. And there has not been moving on that front. So he did say they have tag titles made and set, but they just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. So that could be a thing probably early next year, I would think.
Yeah, I feel like we're nearing the NFL season. Tony's going to be kind of split between AEW and the Dolphins. Or the Jaguars. That's right, Jaguars. But I think post NFL season, Tony will come back. Because I think this is also a good time for him to kind of step away, think about some other things, and like AEW kind of not take a back burner, but not his 100% focus, and then he can come back when NFL is over and probably hit it full head of steam and get that ball rolling. Yeah, because. We got to be honest. The Jaguars aren't going to the playoffs, so
I agree.
He should be back pretty early.
I agree. I do think Tony, you could tell in his interviews, did regret how distant he was from the company during these years, and I think he knows too. Like AEW is at a point now where they've finally feel like they're on a high. They just had 18,000, nearly 19,000 people for Forbidden Door. I don't think actually he's going to take as big of a step back. I think he knows WWE is still doing very good business and all of that stuff. But from a fan perspective, they've obviously gone down in a lot of people for quality. And AEW, especially, and also with so many injuries, they really can't mess around. Because if they do start messing around and not putting the effort in, AEW can go back to like 2023, they were very just like in the middle, like very forgettable. It really took like beginning last year, and really this year they really got on that run again. I don't think Tony's gonna let the company go back to that in the middle part. But so Mercedes is still the TBS champion. And let's move on to the next match, which was the IWGP World Title match, a dream match for me, dream match for the 18,000 people there. With Zack Sabre retaining against Nigel McGuinness. If you're a big technical wrestling fan like I am, I grew up watching the Ring of Honor Pure Division. This was, for me, a very phenomenal match. They had very good chemistry with each other. They had not wrestled since 2011 on the Nigel McGuinness retirement tour in Ring of Honor. So it's crazy they haven't wrestled that long ago. Zack probably should have never lost the championship to Goto in the first place, but here he is, still the champion. The Garcia element I thought was a big miss. He was there. He was like pushing the rope out, and I thought they were just going to end it with him turning heel on Nigel. Yeah. And they did like this weird hug thing after the match, and I was like, Cody's in the ring. I was like, okay, so they'll interview Nigel. Garcia will attack or something, but they just didn't do that on this show. So I don't get why they had Garcia out there in the first place.
Yeah, Garcia was a big nothing burger for the night.
But
He almost got himself kicked out, and that was like all he did.
Yeah, Nigel did have a fun video package where Johnny Saint and him were playing chess, and him and Johnny Saint was in the crowd. I thought this match delivered. I knew there was going to be a really cool roll-up from Zach to get the win. I thought this match was very well done. I think Nigel's looked better and better in the ring. But what did you think of Zach retaining the title here?
I thought it was great. Obviously, I didn't think they were going to drop it to Nigel. I love Nigel. I think Nigel's incredible. He's a great wrestler. He also retired in 2011. So I don't think they're going to drop it to Nigel. Yeah.
He wasn't going to go to Japan for this tour.
Yeah, it's like he's fantastic on commentary, and he's still incredible in ring, but I don't think he's going back full time to be defending a title. But it definitely, it was definitely a dream match. It was a great match. Daniel Garcia was a massive nothing burger. Didn't really have to be out there, but I guess he was there. Daniel Garcia is always very interesting to me because sometimes I'll watch and be like, Daniel's doing something very good, and I'm like, oh, Daniel's, he's next up, and then we'll have something like this moment where you're just like, what?
It's booking though, more than it's not like him. It's booking.
It's not necessarily him, but it's at the same time it's like, what is Daniel doing there? Like,
I agree.
I
a couple times.
I thought this was great. I do have to disagree. I thought Goto was a fantastic champion.
I'm a Zach guy also, to be fair. Yeah.
I actually really love Goto. I've been watching a handful of just his singles matches recently. And as I keep watching, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sold on the Goto Revolution. But yeah, I think potential for better matches comes with Zack Sabre Jr. for sure. And so him losing is sad to me, but I think New Japan, the company, has to have Zack Sabre Jr. as champion for right now.
It's going to be interesting because they said Takeshita's not, just like Zach last year, Takeshita's not getting this title match at Wrestle Kingdom. He wants it before Wrestle Kingdom. So maybe they do give Takeshita a run. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I really thought Tsuji was going to win the G1 this year. I was really shocked when he lost. We were again for a while about the G1. But I thought this was actually really good. I think Zach, his Forbidden Door stuff has been really good. That match he had a DG. I think it was like the first that 3-way or 4-way match with Orange Cassidy and DG and him was good.
Yes.
Match with OC last year was really good. So he's been very consistent. Oh, and him and I think it was Claudio. Claudio's debut was against Zach.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's had some good Forbidden Door moments. I agree. I think they've missed the boat a lot on Garcia. They had the point where he was going to be the next guy after the Jericho Appreciation Society. We felt like he was going to break free, and they just didn't pull the trigger on that. He won the TNT title, but that reign was really, again, not his fault, but he was just putting really more tag matches than TNT title matches. So they didn't put, I thought a heel turn was honestly necessary at this point for his character, but they.
Yeah, I expected a heel turn when he got in there, and there was like just an awkward hug, and they just, were standing there, and Tony Schiavone had to just wait until they were done with whatever they were doing.
Yeah, that was so awkward. Like I was like, did they miss the spot to do it or something? I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't think that was quite planned.
I thought they should have done the heel turn. I know it's predictable, but again, not predictable in wrestling is honestly very good. So I was shocked that they didn't go in that direction. Let's move on to the World Tag Team 3-way match. Brodito becoming the new tag champions. They beat FTR and Hurt Syndicate. Interesting. MVP was not with Shelton and Lashley for like the first time, I think, since they've been back on television.
Mm-hmm.
This match, I thought they've been really weird about this match, where on Dynamite, they said it was an elimination match. And then by the end of the show, it was back to being a regular 3-way match. and then they promoted it as an elimination again later in the week, and then they went back to it's just a 3-way. Brodito, I thought it was going to be, I didn't think her Syndicate were winning. I thought FTR was going to win because I thought they were going to have FTR defend the titles against Cope and Christian. But again, that feud, I guess, doesn't necessarily need the tag title.
Yeah.
So I like this from Tony going with the high hand here. Brody is as over as anyone on the roster right now. I think this is with all these injuries, he's a guy like I want him to win the Continental Classic. Like I think they should go all in on the Brody King situation.
100%.
Bandito has been one of the best in-ring performers in wrestling this year. He's been just consistently good since he's been back from injury. The Keshta match, that Supercard, and then all these tag matches, and I assume him and Hechicero are going to tear the house down next week. Were you thrilled as well? Brodito getting the finish was very sloppy. It was a really good match, and then it looked like Cash was supposed to break up the pin. He tripped, and then they just did the pin again with them not breaking up the pin. So I don't know what happened there, but the end result was a good one. It was just how we got there wasn't the clean.
Sometimes I don't mind unclean wrestling, but then sometimes when it's like stuff like that, you're like, ooh, that should have been a little more clean. But I love Brodito. Huge fan of that team, and I'm so happy that they won the tag titles. And they also still did it in a way that protects the Hurt Syndicate.
That's right.
With them being taken out by Gates of Agony. So, they can still come in and say, we never lost, blah, 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 that, the thing that the heels always do. So I think it was a great way to move the tag titles around. And, Brodito is hot. Everybody loves Brodito. I haven't seen a negative thing about Brodito. And so it's one of those things where sometimes when you're dealt a hot hand, you got to play it. And this is a hot hand, and he slapped the cards down, and I don't think I saw anybody that was upset about it. So
I agree. It was a very hot hand. Their match with the Young Bucks was spectacular. That's probably my favorite match of theirs. But then even the 30-minute draw of FTR last week was really good. So again, it's another Ring of Honor guy holding an AEW title here, but I think it's the right trigger to pull here. It really sucks. I wish Buddy Matthews was in this position, obviously. Just can't. He keeps catching that injury bug. But I thought after this, I knew for sure MJF was winning because I really thought they were going to do the Lashley MJF thing, especially, as you said, Ricochet and Gates of Agony, which was the funniest. They were in New Japan jumpsuits. I was like, who is from New Japan beating that Hurt Syndicate? I was like, what the hell is going on?
Like my first thought was it was War Dogs, but I was like, why would War Dogs fight the Hurt Syndicate? And then I was like, House of Torture? Like, why would House of Torture do this?
And then it was just Ricochet and Gates. I was like, why were they in New Japan jumpsuit? That was so random.
Throwing everybody off. That's what it was.
But clearly they're gonna continue Gates of Agony, Ricochet, Mark Briscoe, MJF, all these people together probably moving forward. Let's move into Okada defeating Swerve to retain his unified championship. I still think another good match for Okada. His last couple months have been much better than his first year and a half or so. Again, Swerve, it was revealed this week that he's had a torn meniscus for like 6 years, I think they said. And he has been battling an injury. That's why they haven't gone full throttle with this feud all the way. This felt like on any other pay-per-view could be a main event, but it felt like with the injury, they were kind of withhold from going all the way with this. So Okada obviously was going to win this match. How are they were going to write Swerve off TV was kind of the question, and they brought Wardlow back from the bench, a guy who was seen as one of the top guys 3-4 years ago now. He beat up Nana and Swerve after the match, and security guards as well. So first of all, what did you think of the match between Swerve and Okada?
Like you said, I think this is a great match, and Okada's really kind of locked in this year specifically since joining AEW. I was watching last couple years with Okada, and I'd watch him wrestle and be like, this is the guy that everybody says is one of the greatest in the world. And this year, I see it. I understand it now. And I've also done more research and watched more, matches and whatnot. But I think Okada keeping the belt was the right decision, even if it was against somebody else other than Swerve.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I feel like we're edging on a Takeshita turn.
Yep.
And so I think that's the guy that's going to take the Continental. And so I don't mind Swerve losing, and I think it's good that he is getting written off for just a little bit to go have surgery and heal up and come back better than ever, so he can be pushed full throttle.
Yeah.
And I think Wardlow to the Don Callis family is a great addition. Great addition.
Him and Archer would be a good tag team, I think. The two big guys.
Yes, I was thinking of that exact same thing.
I agree. I think they're all setting up to catch the thing because they're all celebrating. And then Takeshi's music hits. Huge pop, by the way. Massive pop.
Yes.
And they're, heavily teasing him and Okada. Okada is the best tournament wrestler of all time. And then you have the guy who just won the G1 in the same faction. I know Okada did not do the Tokyo Dome this past year. Boy, that New Japan would die if they do Wrestle Dynasty again, or if this Wrestle Kingdom. Man, Takeshita and Okada, that would be a huge match. Wherever they do that, I'm just thinking from the New Japan side, they're like, let's get on the Takeshita Okada thing. But I'm happy Wardlow's back. The guy is really, really, really good.
Yes.
Another guy who was about to get that ascent guy beat MJF in 30 seconds or a minute, whatever, at the pay-per-view. But the TNT title, hot potato with Hobbs and Joe didn't really end up working out for him. And then he was with, he had the FTR stuff, and now he's completely back. So I'm excited he's back with the Don Callis family as well. So again, Swerve will be out for a pretty long time, torn meniscus. So he probably won't be back until next year at some point. But I think, again, you got to write these people off TV, and they did that.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing this raises is there needs to be a solid base faction in AEW now. With the Death Riders are super solid. Don Callis families get super, super solid.
Yeah,
Hurt Syndicate is still solid. And you got the conglomeration, which is basically every face in the company, but there's no solid backing. There's no leader. They need to put something together because I have a feeling we're going to get into some faction warfare soon.
Yeah.
And I think they need to have a good, solid face faction to get into that.
And that didn't even include Okada and the Bucks with the Don Callis family as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Let's move on we're down to the big three matches on the night. Toni Storm retained against Athena. Thought the match was excellent. Again, Athena.
Fantastic.
As someone who watches Ring of Honor every week, I'm not surprised by the level with Athena. She's been the best women's wrestler for me for the last 3-4 years since she's been in Ring of Honor. She's really shown where she was 8 to 9 years ago in NXT. A lot of people thought she had a good chance to win the match tonight. I think a lot of people probably thought that with nerves, she's going to lose and then probably go right back to being exclusively on Ring of Honor. Billy Starks took a Storm 30 seconds into the match. She was out. And then later in the match, she was trying to interfere. And then Mina came out. And again, Mina is wrestling Athena next week for the Ring of Honor pay-per-view for the world title, which again, I think Athena is probably going to win again. 1,000-day reign. But Toni now has beaten Mercedes and Athena at these last two big pay-per-views. So she is still the champion. Thought the match was excellent. I did think they had a shot at pulling the trigger with Athena, but they stuck with Toni as champion.
Yeah, I think we did talk about this at the All In show. Mm-hmm. That it is getting close to time for Toni to drop the belt and just give her a rest. Because they even talked about it on commentary. She's been holding this thing for a while, and she's fighting every chance she gets with it. Which is good. It's very entertaining because she's an incredible wrestler. But at the same time, I think there's a point where, we can move the belt around, give her a rest, and when she comes back, she's going to be bigger than ever. And I thought Athena was going to be the one to take it off of her for just a little while.
Me too.
But I was surprised by this one. I really did. I would have bet money on Athena. But I'm not complaining either because they put on an incredible match. This is a great match. Tony's still a great champion. But I am saying that, like, looking forward, we're probably going to need to be thinking about who should, take the belt off of Tony and give her the rest she deserves.
Yeah, because I think they're trying to set up the fact that they clearly want whoever beats Tony to be a big star. Because Tony just beat the two other biggest stars they have in the company.
Exactly.
So I feel like they want to have someone who's maybe not on that level get a win like that and be put on that echelon. I don't know if it's like Alex Windsor territory or they're going to go to, like you said, they've already done the Megan Bain, Tony Storm thing at Dynasty. Yeah. So if Stat goes heel, maybe they go Stat with the Death Riders. Yeah. Who knows? But I thought Athena, I'm really nervous now as an Athena fan because I watch Ring of Honor every week, so I can still watch her, but I know many people don't watch Ring of Honor anymore. And I think it's an interesting thing now what they do with Athena because the tag match on Wednesday was really good. This match was good. The O-faced on the rope was really filthy in this match. She's, again, one of the best performers in the world. So we'll see if Tony keeps her in Ring of Honor territory in the vortex, is like people say, but we will see. I thought Tony winning was, again, there wasn't a wrong decision here.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree.
So let's move on to the semi-main event. We had Hangman did retain the world title against MJF. Now, this was a story that I was loving until this week on Dynamite. I thought they really did a bad job where Hangman, the whole story was MJF always gets his way in all of these situations. And finally, he got tricked by Hangman to put the contract up. I was like, hey, this is smart. Hangman looks like a really smart character, and MJF finally is outsmarted by someone. Yeah. And then last week, they kind of went back on it. This match had a stipulation where if it was a DQ or a count out, the title was going to change hands. Plus, MJF's contract, he can cash in at any time still. This was not a sign the contract for the match. This was just a regular title match without the contract. Thought there's going to be a lot of shenanigans. There were a lot of shenanigans. Ref bumps, Mark Briscoe coming out.
Yep.
Foot on the rope, foot not on the rope. I thought this would probably be where, like, a Hangman, maybe MJF DQs himself and then cashes in to win the title. But Hangman won again, clean. I think the match was really, really good. Like, I thought this was better than their match at Revolution. I thought Hangman's should be the champion, I think, moving forward. I just thought, especially putting it in semi-main event, I was like, they probably didn't want to end the show with like a shenanigans fest and a weird.
Yeah.
I was thinking MJF was just going to win. So Hangman wins. MJF still has the contract. So about the match, I can also talk about what your thoughts on, like, the story itself here.
I thought the match was fantastic. This and the Tony Storm and Athena match are neck and neck for me for match of the night. But I think the contract thing is interesting because I think that, you talked about they got MJF to try to use the contract and outsmarted him. And then the next week, we find out he's not using it anymore and he's getting what he wants. I think I saw somebody in our group chat say this at one point, that I think they're starting on, MJF kind of crumbling.
Sure.
So he loses this match. He uses the contract next time, loses that match as well. And just kind of things start falling apart for MJF. And I don't think he goes the broke route like the Young Bucks.
Sure.
But I think things start kind of falling apart for him and he starts kind of losing it. And I think that'll be an incredibly compelling story that'll turn him face. And we'll get a face MJF again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think we're really early on in this saga. So I think we're in for a treat at the end of this. And this was a very good match to kick off whatever we're about to get.
Yeah, he also is the top heel right now in CMLL.
Yeah.
He has to, because his feud with Mystico, they literally have to give him a getaway car because fans are trying to beat him up after the shows. And he takes it as a compliment, he says. He says it's a great compliment. All these people actually beat him up after these shows. He's the world champion for them. Him and Mystico is going to be good. He'll put over Mystico at the end of the day. Ricochet and Gates of Agony beat up Hurt Syndicate, who are working with MJF. I think that will continue. I think the Briscoe thing, that will continue. Going to be interesting what they go with Hangman. Because if those are secluded off with each other, who would be next for Hangman? With we still have a lot of heels in play. But as I think Ricochet is a good idea for the next feud here. But I still think Bobby Lashley, MJF, because Bryan Danielson had to repeat at the loudest volume, guys, MJF and Ricochet were working together. And what did Bobby Lashley say to MJF? He was coming for, he literally broke down the whole story. So I think Lashley and MJF feels like maybe the next step for this. But we will see. I'm happy Hangman won. For me, the Wednesday storyline that they didn't work for me and kind of pulled me out of some big story element of this match. Because again, I just thought, if you're going to just end it with Hangman winning the title, why change the stipulation to, I agree with you. If MJF wants to crumble, but have him give up the contract and lose the match would have made more sense to me than lose. He still has the contract. It's, and AEW has not done a good job with these cash-ins before. So,
in my head, I think the way I would do it, and I am no wrestling booker, but I would probably do a friendly match against Ibushi. Just because I think that would be a killer match.
Sure.
Yeah, they don't have to have a big story. Ibushi, Ibushi could just be like, "Hey, Hangman, I would love to face you for the AEW Championship," and Hangman's like, "That would be fun." And then, they're 30 minutes into a 45-minute match, and MJF comes out and then still loses the title. Hangman still retains. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways with so many people out. Wednesday, again, it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Hangman's probably going to cut an opening promo and someone's going to interrupt. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on to this crazy main event. As we're wrapping up the show here, we had an all-star cage match. We had Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay beating Moxley, Claudio, the Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. This match was pretty insane. We had a dude sticking a fork into someone's ear in this match. We had barbed wire tables. We had Ospreay, who was about to get neck surgery, doing a moonsault at the top of the cage. We had so many people in this match who are going to be out. If it's Omega or Ospreay missing, Gabe missed the G1 due to an injury, so he was banged up coming into this match. Darby's first match, and he's falling off tables, and he's the bloodiest one, of course, out of everyone. But I thought it was nice. They gave Tanahashi the win here on his final. He hit it's a weird finish where the Bucks came in, and then they did the one-legged angel and Ospreay's finish, and then I was like, okay, that's clearly it. Tanahashi is getting on the top rope, and Ospreay is so happy as Tanahashi is getting on the top rope to hit the splash and get the win. So I thought that was a very nice moment. But this match was definitely as violent as expected. Some people were not as crazy, luckily, because they were, Kenny didn't do anything that crazy, or Claudio or any of these, Ospreay did the backflip. Tana wasn't doing anything super crazy in this match. They really kind of left that to Mox, Gabe, and Darby.
The people you kind of expect the crazy.
The three crazy people. So what did you think of this to end the show here?
I thought this was a great end. You're talking about Tanahashi picking up the win. I looked and you could see Tanahashi peek his head up on the other side of the ring before Will Ospreay got on top. And so you could see him make his way around, and I was like, oh, he's gonna hit it. It was so funny,
Yeah.
like because you can see his hair pop up before you can see his eyes.
Yep.
But this was a fantastic match. This is my kind of hardcore match. I know we talked about before that I'm not a huge hardcore guy, but these kinds of matches are fantastic. The fork through the ear though,
That was a bit much, right?
left, yeah, we could have left that one at home. But Darby Allin's Darby Allin. I expect him to be Wednesday wrestling again.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but he took some of the craziest bumps. Gabe Kidd was, I think, I expected Gabe Kidd to be crazy because Gabe Kidd's crazy. That's part of his character.
Yeah.
But I did not expect him to take that table bump off the cage after missing the entirety of the G1 with an injury for a foot injury. And so that was kind of crazy. Yeah, Kenny did a lot of like high spots, but didn't really do much else, which is probably fine. I mean, I was watching him and he just, he looked like he was hurt. And so it was like, when this is done, I hope he gets plenty of rest and he can kind of, get back on his feet and get out there and kill it again. Ibushi looked great. Tanahashi, about 3 minutes in, couldn't walk anymore.
That's right. He was laying down a lot in this match.
Yeah, he was off to the side or laying down a lot, which I expected.
Yes.
Death Riders, they were all great. Even the Yuta interference or not really interference, but trying to get got Mox out of the cage and then took a huge bump. So it was awesome. I thought the match was great. It delivered on everything that I would want out of a 10-man steel cage no holds barred match. Yeah. So it was great. And then you had the whole ending, which was
we'll get to what happened after the show technically went off the air.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about the Bucks had a very funny entrance where before the show started, they were like telling this one work guy because they had name tags which they give out to extras or whatever. It was very funny. They were like, give us thumbtacks in this bag for the show and play us our old music and all of this stuff. And they even had an old BTE video that they uploaded to BTE this past week. So going through the throwback here. They come out, they play that hilarious song. Kenny is singing and dancing in the ring. And then they get the bag. And they're like, okay, it's probably not going to be thumbtacks, but what will it be in? And they put in like candy. Nick gets spiked head first, and then Nat Jackson is like petrified as they're throwing candy in his mouth, like it's a thumbtack, but it's actually just candy. I thought that the Bucks bit has not been close to old yet.
No, like using gummy bears as thumbtacks is hilarious. It's like reacting the same as you would. They were thumbtacks is so funny.
And Osprey's covered in blood. He's like, that was really good or something to the camera. I was like, this is very good. And there's some good the Bucks Golden Lovers standoff too. That's one of my favorite tag matches of all time at the Long Island New Japan show. Got like 2017, 2016, one of those. Really, really good match. That got a huge pop. So let's get to the after stuff. Osprey looks like he's saying his goodbyes. And then the Death Riders basically write him off TV here.
Yes.
Moxley hits a curb stomp on Osprey. Chair was, Osprey had a head on his chair. So they're obviously going to the neck injury. So Osprey is going to have neck surgery. He's probably going to miss 15 months, 18 months at the most. Like he probably won't be back until like 2027, like early 2027, I would think.
Yeah.
Which is a huge blow. And now hindsight, Tony Khan choosing Hangman to win the title, not Osprey, seemed to have really worked out in the end because now Hangman.
Yes.
Because if he would have put this on Osprey, they would have had to rush getting the title off of him really quickly.
Yeah.
So hindsight's hindsight, but Death Riders, again, they injured Osprey technically in the first place at All In. They injure him again, so we'll see again probably in a year and a half from now. The Death Riders probably aren't going to be a thing, but they could always run back Osprey and Moxley down the line. They were teasing Osprey and Gabe again in this match a lot. Gabe and Kenny was teased a ton as well in this match.
Yes.
I don't think this is the last time Gabe's going to be used on AEW. He seems, again, he's a big star in my opinion. So, So they wrote Osprey off TV. They wrote Swerve off TV. They have a big end of the year to stay hot with losing 2 of their top 5 guys on the roster at this point. So, and again, Kenny, he's hurt. He's probably going to be out for some time as well. We don't know the specifics on if he's going to be part-time or however he's going to work things.
Yeah.
He's banged up as well. That's why he wasn't on the show post All In. Those are 3 of your top guys. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on booking and the talent to keep AEW as hot as they've been so far in 2025.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more participation from CMLL and New Japan.
I agree.
I think we had talked about this before. Maybe it was just in DMs. I don't think we talked about this for the All In show.
Yeah.
But the Death Riders becoming part of Bullet Club War Dogs, or War Dogs becoming part of the Death Riders, whichever way. And you and I had talked about this yesterday with David Finley. And his contract is kind of up in the air. Don't know where he's going, or if they're gonna boot him and put either Mox up there or Gabe Kidd. And so there's a lot that could happen, and I think in the heavy injury time for the top of AEW, they will be relying a lot on CMLL and New Japan, maybe just to fill some of the mid-card spots while they move some people up.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be seeing a lot of collaboration between the 3 of them very soon, which I'm excited for. I think it's going to be very exciting.
And again, from the New Japan perspective, because we watch and they're half part of the show, they're heading into their prime. This is out of their starting in September, they go on a 3 to 4 month grind going into the Tokyo Dome, Tanahashi's last match. So this is a big time for New Japan as well. And again, they were, I think correctly so, panned for a lot of the booking decisions for the G1. They need to turn things around in a major way.
Yes.
Going into Wrestle Kingdom. They have not announced Wrestle Dynasty as of now. So as of now, it's just one night for the Tokyo Dome. We'll see if that changes. They did announce on the show EW will come back to the UK in December. But that, I think, with Heat Wave about to start, I think that's the perfect time to kind of call it a night here, Blackhawk.
Yeah.
So before we head off, Blackhawk, where can everyone find you on socials?
Everywhere at Blackhawk Walker, and my other Instagram page, the Blackhawk Walker.
Yeah.
You can find me everywhere. I've been posting some wrestling clips from matches that I've been watching recently. So keep on the lookout for that. YouTube as well. Getting back to making videos for YouTube very soon. I've got a couple of things put in motion right now, just waiting for a few things to play out. But that's about everywhere you can find me.
Yeah, I also say too, they showed an AEW social media exclusive. They had Osprey getting carted off, so they're really they're really going in. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter there below that. Again, Bodyslam, I do highs and lows basically every single night for social media, which Blackhawk and Cass help put together for me. So I do Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Collision. Usually I'm here with Rami or Blackhawk for the WWE and AEW pay-per-views. And then also stay tuned. I am in Philly, and AEW is going to be here for the next 3 weeks. So I will be at all 7 shows, 3 Dynamites, 3 Collisions, and Death Before Dishonor. So I was also at NXT this past week. So Cass is working on putting a vlog together on my experience at NXT at the Met. And then I'll be doing social media from the ECW arena for the next month. And then also Ring of Honor, I'll be at the press conference. So I assume we'll upload some press conference content as well to Bodyslam socials and YouTube. So again, follow Bodyslam on YouTube. Follow us on all socials. We have videos coming out every single day. So stay tuned. Thank you guys again for joining us for another post show for AEW Forbidden.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.